Hey there, welcome back to another video. This time around, it is my review of the 2020 video game movie, Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, before I get around to sharing more of my thoughts on this film, I want to give a special shout out to Brock for requesting this review, and if there's another film, TV show, or topic that you would like to see me discuss in the future, feel free to donate to my PayPal. The link will be in the video description down below, and I will try to get to it as soon as I possibly can. Now, Sonic the Hedgehog is one of those video game movies that surprisingly doesn't suck. And that's saying a lot, because the video game film genre is easily one of the worst when it comes to the track record, when it comes to the ratio of good versus bad films. And when you think about a lot of things when it comes to Sonic the Hedgehog, in particular this adaptation of Sonic, this easily could have been yet another bad video game movie. Because if you look back at the original trailer for this film, it didn't look good. It looked pretty bad. It looked generic. It didn't look funny. And worst of all, the design of Sonic was nightmarish and horrifyingly awful. But something really interesting happened. Something special. The studio actually listened to criticism and to the fans and decided to change course. They put in $5 million extra into redesigning Sonic. They went the extra mile and actually got people who worked on other Sonic properties and got them involved creatively to redesign Sonic, to create a new design of Sonic that's a mix of old and new. And the rest is history. And speaking of history, my history with Sonic the Hedgehog is not really the same as a lot of other people. I am not what you would call a Super Sonic fan. I didn't even play that much Sonic growing up. I played Nintendo. I played Mario Brothers. I played really bad, lame movie video games. You know, video games that are based on movies like Darkman and Predator, like and Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Like, that's the stuff that I remember growing up. I didn't have a Sega Genesis, so I didn't play Sonic. To this day, I haven't really beaten a single Sonic game. I'm just going to be honest. And really, my only major exposure to Sonic was through the Saturday afternoon cartoon series, which for some reason I really liked as a kid, and I would watch it all the time. And I tried to revisit that show a few years ago, and that was pretty brutal. Sonic the Hedgehog, more like Sonic the Cringe Hog, because that cartoon series hogs all the cringe. It's so bad. It's like a really shitty version of Looney Tunes. Like, you take the Roadrunner and Coyote cartoons, and you just cover them in fecal matter and piss, and that's what you get with the Sonic the Hedgehog Saturday afternoon cartoon series. So I went into this film with really, really low expectations, because I didn't know a whole lot about Sonic. Didn't really know that much about the lore of Sonic or the characters. What I really knew was based on really vague memories of the Saturday afternoon cartoon series. So Sonic the Hedgehog, to me, was a really good film. I was very surprised by this movie. I really enjoyed this one. Now, I did have some issues with it, but a lot of those issues were very minor, at least for me personally. And I would have to say, this is one of my favorite video game movies. And I know that's not saying a whole lot, because the video game movie film genre is just littered with absolute shitfests. And I can see why some people might look at this film and be like, oh, it's not that good. It's just demonstrably better than most of the other video game movies. But I think it is that good, at least for what it is and for what it's trying to do. It's directed by Jeff Fowler, and I thought he did a fantastic job with this movie. Like, you could tell that this is a guy who loved Sonic. He loved the Sonic games. He loved the character. He loved Sonic's world. And that really did show when it comes to his direction. There's a lot of love and just care and compassion that is put into this movie. Also, you really could not tell for 1 second that this is the directorial work of a guy who had never directed a feature film prior to this movie. I still think that's incredibly surprising, because it doesn't seem like that at all. You can definitely see where his visual effects background came into play here, because there are a lot of moments in this movie that rely heavily upon VFX, not just stuff with Sonic, but stuff with Robotnik at times, a lot of the stuff with Robotnik's robots and so on, and that is something that can be kind of a hit and miss kind of thing with a director, because maybe they don't necessarily know how to blend VFX with live action in a way where it seems rather seamless. And sometimes you get VFX directors, you know, guys who worked on VFX most of their life and didn't do a whole lot of directing, who are really good in the scenes that involve visual effects, but not really that great at all when it comes to the other scenes. But I didn't really find that to be the case here with Fowler's direction in Sonic the Hedgehog. I also really loved his demeanor in terms of how he was able to just realize that this is supposed to be a fun, lighthearted affair. But he did it in a way where it didn't come across like it was Alvin and the Chipmunks or something. Like, even though I can see a lot of people looking at it like that, because you got a live action setting with live actors and you got CGI characters, but it didn't really come across like a Smurfs thing or a Alvin and the Chipmunks thing to me, because it felt like there were still more stakes, and there were some really genuinely serious moments in this. So it wasn't just nothing but shits and giggles and one-liners and so on. Like, there actually felt like there were stakes here, and there was legit character development, and a lot of that is something that you would say is more in line with the script, and I'll get to that soon enough. But I think there's also something to be said about the direction and how that also helps those elements shine. And the film doesn't have a whole lot of action sequences, but when they are there, they are thrilling. They are fun to watch. They have a good pace to them. They don't seem to be too chaotic or choppy when they easily could be. They could be more uneven and bumpy because you have a first-time director and he's doing a lot of ambitious sort of stuff. And the action sequences, there's a lot of stuff where there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of different characters sometimes. You have really elaborate creative chase scenes, like the stuff with Sonic and Robotnik as they're chasing each other all across the globe. So it's the kind of stuff that could seem to be too chaotic if you had a director who wasn't as capable as someone like Jeff Fowler. And I just really feel that he just maintained a consistent tone as well, which is something that I think a lot of people take for granted when it comes to a director, like the consistency of the tone when it comes to what the director is trying to go for visually. And it's a very consistent looking film. There really aren't a lot of moments with the direction where it seems like it's jarring. Like, it seems like he is directing one scene differently than the other. So yeah, overall, I was really impressed with Jeff Fowler's direction. The screenplay by Pat Casey and Josh Miller, that was also another thing that really did surprise me in terms of the overall quality. I do have some problems with it. For one, the humor is mostly a miss for me. I mean, you got fart jokes. Thankfully, there aren't that many, but there is one glaring fart joke that's really bad. There are some other moments where it's trying to make certain characters a thing, but I really feel that they should just drop it, like Agent Stone or Wade. But when it comes to Sonic himself, the script really did a remarkable job, because it made Sonic feel like a flesh and blood character. It gave Sonic pathos. It gave Sonic a backstory. It made you sympathize with Sonic, with the whole stuff that happened with his mentor when he was a kid. And you really did feel for Sonic when it comes to this whole thing where he's alone. And he's spending a lot of his time in the shadows, hiding from other people. And it's one of those things where I think that's something that's very relatable for a lot of people. The fear of being alone. So I think the script really did a good job with that. I also feel it did a good job with the responsibility that Sonic is given in terms of all the powers that he has, and he needs to learn how to hone them. And I like the fact that he's still trying to learn and figure things out. He's trying to find his path in life, and I feel the way that the film handles it is actually really effective. Also, I feel the stuff with Tom and the bond that Sonic and Tom form throughout the film, I think that's really poignant. And I feel the movie has a really good heart to it. And I think a good reason for that is because of this script. It's once again from a position of love and compassion for the source material and for these characters. And it just shows you really the best people to do an adaptation of a video game or a comic book are fans, are talented writers and directors or performers who are fans of the source material, not people who aren't really that big on Sonic. So you can tell that the writers were huge fans of Sonic. And I love the fact that the script has callbacks here and there to the games, but it's not to the point where it like stops the film to wink at the camera, and it still flows well within the narrative. And even if you don't get it, it still moves right along. I like the stuff where Sonic shows a lot of other aspects of his personality. You see that he really cares for animals, and it leads to a cute scene where he's taking a turtle and saves it from being run over, and runs at full speed with the turtle to give the turtle the feeling of going fast. I like I like a lot of the touches that the script has with Sonic. And forgive me if I like fumble over my words or I sound like I'm on speed, which is pretty fitting for a Sonic review. That's a symptom of some a medication that I'm taking. So it just makes me like super wired, and so it leads to moments where I kind of fumble more and stutter a little bit. But anyway, back to Sonic. I like the touches that the script has when it comes to Sonic's personality and his hobbies and the stuff that he's interested in. Like he has a whole collection of Flash comics, and he really likes Mellow Yellow, which I thought was pretty cool since I'm a big fan of Mellow Yellow myself. In fact, here we go. There's some Mellow Yellow. It's the choice drink of OCP and Rambo Raff and also Sonic the Hedgehog. And I love the fact that Sonic is a huge fan of Keanu Reeves, specifically the film Speed. And there's a whole scene where Tom and his, I think it's his wife, are watching Speed on TV, and Sonic's like looking at outside the window, and he's proud and he's happy that they're watching Speed. There's even a moment in the film where Sonic quotes Speed, the whole like pop quiz hot shot line. He incorporates that into his own one-liner. So yeah, Sonic has a lot of quirks that I really did enjoy. I like that character quite a bit. He's cocky, but not to the point where he's too obnoxious and unlikable. I felt the script did a really good job balancing things when it comes to the various different aspects of Sonic's personality. Also, like I said, I like the stuff with Tom. I think his character has a lot of moments where he shines, especially when it comes to the scenes that he shares with Sonic. And the script also gives a lot for the villain to do. I mean, Dr. Robotnik is a very menacing but also very hilarious foe for Sonic to face. And I think the script really found that fine line between menacing and silly, and made it so there were moments where he was intimidating because of his prowess and his knowledge, and just how crazy and kooky he is. But at the same time, it knew that this was a lighthearted kind of film, so it wasn't going to go too far with Dr. Robotnik to the point where he felt like he was some kind of Christopher Nolan villain or something. I like the fact that they found like that fine balance between Dr. Robotnik's various quirks and a bit of menacing attitude. There are some moments, though, with some characters. Like I mentioned earlier, I don't like what they do with Wade. I hate that character so much. That character is the epitome of useless comic relief. And it seems like the screenwriters knew it, because there's a whole scene where Jim Carrey just insults him. It's like, no, 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 no. You just sit there and be you. Sliss. You know, it's like you just sit there and you be you. Sliss. Like, they even knew he was useless. It's like, and I don't know why the character is even really in the film that much, other than that one scene. Maybe they're trying to establish that it's him so you can have that one joke, but okay, that's fine enough. Thankfully, though, he doesn't have a whole lot of screen time after that. But it does seem like they're trying to make this character a thing, and that's definitely the case in Sonic 2. And I think that's really something that holds that film back, but I'll get to that when I talk about Sonic 2. Also, the stuff with Agent Stone, I don't know why this character is force-fed down your throat. This character sucks. He's not funny. He's not charismatic. He's not intimidating. He adds nothing to the movie. Just cut him out of the film entirely and have more scenes with Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik, or more stuff with Sonic and Tom. And there's another bit too that I don't think is that strong, like the stuff with Tom's wife. She has a sister in San Francisco, and this character was just poorly written. The character just seemed like she was just a 100% just straight up bitch. She was just bitchy and annoying and obnoxious, and not in a fun way. But like I said, the script still works. It's still a solid script, because how it handles Sonic and his character, how it handles the bond between him and Tom, how it handles the stuff with Sonic and Dr. Robotnik. It does have some nice setups for some fun action bits, like some fun chase scenes on the road, some fights between Sonic and some robots, the climax where Sonic is chasing Robotnik, or Robotnik is chasing Sonic throughout all these different places all over the world, and then it culminates with them back in Green Hills, and they have one little final showdown. It's one of those scripts that for me really does showcase the strength of a simple storyline that doesn't have a lot of twists and turns, but it still really works. Even though it is cliched. It is a very cliched story, very cliched plot, the road trip stuff, but it has a lot of heart to it, and it just knows how to get the most out of those ideas to the point where it still feels worth your while, despite how derivative some of it might seem. I also feel there were some nice bits of creativity, for sure, in terms of the various different types of robots that Dr. Robotnik uses. Although some of the robot designs kind of became a little repetitive, but I don't really blame the screenwriter for that. I like the stuff with Sonic's rings and how they are used in the script. I also like the fact that Sonic uses slow motion at times, so he's like super fast, but there are moments where you'll see him moving and doing all this stuff, like the whole bar fight sequence, and it's something that is definitely reminiscent of what you would see in other X-Men films with Quicksilver, which I always loved those scenes. So it was really cool to see that kind of stuff incorporated here. And it fit. It really did fit for Sonic. And I like the fact that you have some moments where it does seem like it's building up to a bigger cinematic universe, and it's doing it the right way, like the mid-credit scene with Tails, for instance. It's a film that has a script that's simple but effective, but has really strong characters. I think that's what really carries this script, is these strong characters. It's not necessarily humor, which is very much a miss for me most of the time, although there are a few lines that made me chuckle or made me smile. A lot of the stuff is pop culture stuff, pop culture references, and those are the ones that really made me smirk the most. The other stuff is really just Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey, and I think that was just him improvising, and I don't think it really was the result of the script. But like I said, I just think it's a really strong film when it comes to the characters, and that leads to the beating heart of the movie. The cast is also really strong. I mean, Ben Schwartz, I thought, was spectacular as Sonic. He really did nail the attitude of this character, but he also nailed the needed pathos that this film was trying to give this character. There are different layers to Sonic here. He has moments where he's vulnerable. He has moments where he's emotionally distraught or he's desperate. But then he has moments where he's cocky and he's got this attitude. And he's cracking jokes and one-liners. And he's being a bit of a badass. And it all really worked because Ben Schwartz really did understand what made Sonic tick. And he was also a huge, enormous fan of the character, and that really showed. It was another Ryan Reynolds Deadpool kind of thing here, where you have a guy who is a diehard fan of the character who gets the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to play that character. You also had other voice cast actors like Donna Jay Fulks, who played Longclaw, Sonic's caretaker. Colleen O'Shaughnessey voices Tails in the mid-credit scene, and she voiced the character in the video game series all the way since 2014. So it was really nice to see that continuity. You also have, of course, the live-action cast, which is headed by Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik. This film would not be anywhere near as enjoyable or as fun to watch as it is if Jim Carrey was not Dr. Robotnik. This is a character he was born to play because Jim Carrey is a live-action cartoon most of the time. And Jeff Fowler and a lot of the other people, they let Jim be Jim. And as a result, Jim recaptured that manic spark that he lost, and it's such a joy to watch as a fan of Jim Carrey, as a fan of the manic, just crazy, emotive Jim Carrey, who's just a master of physical comedy, and he just had this energy that no one really was able to replicate or come close to. And it was so sad to see him be a pale imitation of himself in films like Dumb and Dumber 2. So it was so refreshing, and it was so awesome, legitimately, to see Jim recapture that spark here as Dr. Robotnik. He makes lame lines into something that is honestly tolerable or legitimately funny because of how talented of a physical comedian and how talented of a actor he is. So Jim Carrey was a delight. He was so much fun as Dr. Robotnik. James Marsden, he was fine too as Tom. I think he definitely had his best moments when he was working off of Ben Schwartz, when he was working off of Sonic. But he also had some nice moments too with Jim Carrey. So I do feel that James Marsden definitely does add something to this film. He adds a solidity to it. This is a character that definitely does seem like he's a guy who you would trust, a guy who's very honorable, and is a good father figure for Sonic. Tika Sumpter plays Maddie, Tom's wife. She's all right, but I'm not really going to dog on her too much or rag on her too much because of the fact that she didn't really have a whole lot to do in this script. I would say the scenes with her and Tom are definitely stronger than the scenes with her and her sister. Speaking of her older sister, Natasha Rothwell, I did not like this performance. I don't like this character. This is not the kind of performance where you love to hate this kind of character, where it's like, oh, she's a bitch, but she's funny. Like, I didn't really see it that way. I just thought she was annoying. And I didn't think the performance was really that good either, because a lot of it just came across as her trying to force this irritating sort of persona out of her, and it didn't really come across like it was natural. Adam Pally, who I like to call poor man's TJ Miller, because TJ Miller's canceled, so there's no way that you're going to cast him in anything now. But, you know, there's a lot of actors that are very similar to him and have similar acting ability. And I feel this is definitely one of those actors. I did not like this character at all. I didn't like this performance at all. This is like an example of forcing something else. Like, he's not forcing trying to be an irritating, annoying, bitchy older sister. This time he's forcing trying to be funny and just failing miserably. I also didn't like Lee Majdoub as Agent Stone, Robotnik's best buddy. Like, the whole bit is like, oh, he makes him lattes. Good for you. I don't know why the screenwriters or why the producers or why anyone thought this character was a winner. The performance was just bland. It might as well have been just a rock. And there's a few other people in the cast and crew, but really that's the main cast. And the film also features some decent technical elements, like the cinematography by Stephen F. Winden. Like, it's not something that's going to blow you away. You're not going to run home to your folks or to your friends and talk about how great the film looked in terms of the cinematography. I would say the cinematography was more impressive when it comes to showing Sonic's world or anything involving something that wasn't just Green Hills. Speaking of Green Hills, this is something that I didn't mention when I was talking about the script, but it's something that I'll mention here. It would have been nice to have seen more scenes that took place during the past, you know, or just in Sonic's world, instead of just boring Pacific Northwest. It's just one of those things where I see that every day when I go outside. Like, I don't need to see that on film. Like, it's okay for like a one-off here, but it's getting old, and I'll talk about more as to why I feel that way when I talk about Sonic 2. But yeah, it would have been nice to have seen more locations that weren't just Green Hills. And they did have some moments like that, like in the climax when Sonic and Dr. Robotnik are chasing after one another, and you have a scene at the Great Wall of China, and you have a scene in Egypt. So they did try to switch things up, and I'm really glad that they at least made that attempt. And I would say the cinematography is definitely a lot more impressive during those scenes. The Editing by Stacy Schroeder and Deborah Neal Fisher, I felt that the editing was excellent. There's a lot of moments in this film where there's a lot of stuff going on, whether it's Robotnik and his robots, or Sonic doing his Sonic stuff, the whole slow motion scenes, the various different moments that involve Sonic playing baseball, like that whole scene where he's playing baseball by himself and he's playing all these different roles, where he's playing the catcher and he's playing the pitcher and he's playing the batter and all of that. And that's the kind of thing where a bad editor could really make that come across as something that really didn't work. And I feel that the editing in this was excellent, and it really matched the personality and the charisma of Sonic, and just everything that the director was trying to go for. And the editing just really did work seamlessly with Jeff's vision of the film, which was a fast-paced, fun, furry good time of a movie that really does exemplify the best traits of Sonic himself. The film also features a score by Tom Holkenborg. This is not one of his best scores. It's not bad, but I didn't really feel the score was anything that special. I really feel they should have used more music from the games here. I feel that was a missed opportunity, not have like an orchestral version of the Sonic theme. I would say the original songs that were used for the film were more noteworthy for me. In particular, the song that played at the end credits. It was a rap song. Like, I really liked that song. And I'm not a huge fan of rap, but that song was really good. I thought that song was just really quite a lot of fun. Yeah, it's called trying to remember what. I know it was a big song. It was a big popular song. Speed Me Up by Wiz Khalifa, Lil Yachty, Ty Dolla $ign, and Suko the Child. Yeah, that one was really, really cool. I thought that was a great track. It's very catchy, and you could tell that the rappers that were on it were also just huge marks for Sonic. And the film lived up to Sonic's namesake. It was a fast-paced movie. There was no reason at all for a Sonic the Hedgehog film to be 2 hours. So I'm really glad that it was only like 90 minutes. It was the perfect running time for a Sonic film. It went by at a really good pace. It was fast. It was fun. And yeah, I really liked it. I liked Sonic the Hedgehog. The only issues that I had with the film really were some of the characters, but they weren't on screen a whole lot, so my issues with those characters were relatively minor. The humor at times is really not that great. Actually, most of the time it's not that great. Definitely could have been funnier, but at the same time it could have been worse. And I would have liked maybe one more action sequence at some point. I think that would have maybe made the film even better as well. And the action that is there, it's just average. That's one other thing that I definitely will point out when it comes to the movie. Like the action in this with the robots on the freeway and the chase with Robotnik and Sonic at the end. Like a lot of that is just very average. It seemed like the kind of thing where they had a lower budget. They didn't really want to go too over the top, or they didn't want to try to be too ambitious because they didn't really have enough to do it. So they just went very small, and I think it led to the film still being overall a good movie, but I think it could have been even better if the action was more varied, or it had a little bit more weight to it. But as it is, it's there, it's all right. Really, the film works because of Sonic and the heart of the film and its villain in Dr. Robotnik. That's really what makes the film tick. But anyway, I don't know what else to say about Sonic the Hedgehog except thanks for watching my review, and as always, I'll see you later. See ya.